Oh, there we go. Oh,
What's up, everybody? It's your boy,
oh,
Toby Garfield.
oh, and here I am. It's also your boy Toby Garfield here on Super Squad D on a Friday afternoon, where today the D stands for don't expect us to start on time. Do you like
Don't
that totally
expect
original
it.
joke I just came up with?
You told it, dude. That's a great joke. I'm so proud that that was all original from you. I think that's very impressive, sir.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing on this fantastic spring of Spider-Man Friday?
Are you wearing any Spider-Man apparel today?
I'm wearing Spider-Man underwear.
Please do not show.
I can't because the channel will, be dissolved.
Get demonetized quick off of
That's right. However, I will consider putting it in the thumbnail.
Oh, okay. Cool. This is we'll lose the half a cent that we'll make off of this live stream. So
yeah, it was going to be crazy.
To honor Spider-Man, I'm clearly wearing a bright red pimple on my nose. 33 years old, waking up with a little bit of acne. No big deal.
I like it. We both got our solid backwards caps on because that means we're ready to talk about all things Spider-Man. So I got a question for everybody out there. First of all, I'm sorry for the disappointment, Chris. There was a cake planned. You wouldn't believe it, but the cake maker wouldn't make a cake for Spider-Man related things. There was going to be a joke there. It was going to be inappropriate, so I decided not to make it.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Salutations, felons. What's up, the Stoner B? How's it going, dude? A belated April Fool's to you, Hayden, though I would never April Fool you because I love you.
Yes.
Omnibuddy here. Omnibuddy says there's been 5 likes on the video. I said for every like this video gets, I'll do a push-up. There's five likes, so 5 push-ups. Five is definitely doable.
You're done. No, not for you.
Anything over 5, I may have to switch to girl push-ups. Like just the half push-ups.
Wow. This is 2021,
Woo!
Tyler. This is 2021. I'm glad that has some. It's funny with that when I made that countdown video like years ago, there was music behind it. Hey, there's the game fuel. And I don't know where the music went. So I guess I'm gonna have to redo that because I really made it with music. And like when we throw it up there before the show, I'm like, here we go, and then no music happens, and I'm like, oh, so we're just gonna chill. We're gonna chill in silence for a little bit.
Super awkward silence, which is also
fine,
very cool. Hey, I just wanted to point out that Omnibuddy, who's got a great channel, you guys should check it out if you hadn't already. He copied your joke.
Oh,
that's kind of disappointing, man.
That's
like, come up with your own content.
Yeah,
Mitch.
I know, right?
It's like, come on, man. So here's what I want to know as we get ready to kick off the show. Again, I can't show you the Spider-Man underwear because it's against the terms of service.
No, sadly, he's talking about the push-ups. He's demanding that you do the push-ups right now.
I mean, right now, is this the total we're going to get? 8? Because I'll do them.
I cannot imagine that people like us enough to give us any more than 8 likes.
Okay, if we get to 10, I'll stop and do 10. Every 10, I'll do it. This is restore the countdown, like restore the Whedon. No one's saying restore the Whedon verse. No.
Restore the Whedon.
Please no. Okay, no. Please. I made a huge mistake. I made a huge faux pas.
Don't worry, everyone. I have removed him from the video. He's out of here. No more of the Whedon cut talk.
Oh, jeez. I'm so confused now. I'm on the opposite side.
Hey, Gobi. So yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be. I hate that they put you on the other side to begin with. Gobi, tell me, this is, according to you, the spring of Spider-Man.
No, this is according to the universe. I don't get to make. I didn't make this. I just discovered it. Like I discovered that it dates back to ancient hieroglyphics and a lot of predictions that went into the world. But it is the spring of Spider-Man.
Yeah. A lot of predictions that went into the world.
And here we are, the spring of Spider-Man.
All right. Well, why don't you explain what it is and what we're doing today, since this is your thing.
So the spring of Spider-Man is the most important spring that has ever happened in the history of the world.
Wow.
Because
even though it's happened for thousands of years, according to you.
Well, yeah, it's a tricky situation. But the the way it works is you're just supposed to consume any Spider-Man content. The more Spider-Man content you consume, not only the better your life will be, but the more SSD points we will reward you with. So make sure to let us know what all Spider-Man content you have consumed, and we will give you SSD points based on your content consumed. And today we're going to be talking about our favorite versions of Spider-Man outside of the comics.
Yeah. Okay.
So all the different iterations over all of time, thousands of years ago.
Time and space, or just time?
Just time. There's some interesting things that happened outside of space that we would like. We'll get into that.
I get that. I totally get that. Totally get that. All right, cool. I like it. Okay, so we're talking outside of comics. We're talking movies, video games,
shows,
rock operas, shows, tattoos that people have gotten on their bodies, probably. Yeah.
Definitely going to be talking about top tattoos. Okay, so I've been told by Mitch that we have we reached the 10 like goal?
Oh, I don't know. I'll check with the producer. I'll tell you what, I'll be the 10th like. I just liked it as the 10th like.
Jeez. All right, I'm going to do some push-ups while Joseph, we're going to start off by talking about the big guns, the movies.
Yep.
Why don't you share what your favorite Spider-Man movie of all time? There's a lot of things you can trade in your SSD points for.
We'll get to that. About the time Tyler puts out his top 5 Spider-Man
top 5
outfits.
Spider-Man costume video. All right.
I'm enthralled by this.
I'm so old. Why are you doing full screen? This is extremely unprofessional. This is awful.
No, this is the way it should be.
Why aren't you talking about Spider-Man?
Because this is better.
This is something Spider-Man would do. Oh, jeez, you're monsters.
I'm glad you had to do that. I'm so glad.
Okay, if we get another 10 likes by some stroke of calamity, I'll do another 10.
All right, so you wanted to start with what? Movies?
Yeah, let's talk about movies. What
okay.
Everyone's favorite Spider-Man film, for the most part, is Spider-Man 2.
We'll throw that up, big screen. There it is.
I can only assume it's because of how much time he spent with half the mask on.
You're right, yeah.
I like a poster that really gives a full story, and this is it.
This is it. This is it for sure. Do you think Spider-Man 2 was like the precursor to some of the other... hey, Tyler, can you turn down your radio, please, while you're on the phone with us? First-time caller. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Can you please turn down your radio? Yes. So I think Spider-Man 2 is like the precursor to like the later Marvel like MCU films where Tony Stark spends more time out of the Iron Man mask and everything. I think we talked about it like when talking about Iron Man 3 a little bit about how Robert Downey Jr. had to get more face time. Spider-Man 2 kind of had that a little bit, but for the most part, most people feel like this was the best of the Spider-Man movies, and so that's why we put up this giant poster here.
But was it?
Well, when's the last time you watched the rest of them?
Well, that's a good point. I've never gone back to Spider-Man 3. Ever.
Yeah, I haven't either. I don't think. We'll put him up in the corner over there.
I've never gone back to. All right, everyone craps on the Andrew Garfield films. I actually enjoyed them. I mean, they weren't amazing, no pun intended, but I really enjoyed those films. I thought he was a pretty good Spider-Man. It's just his Peter Parker was like super hipster cool guy.
If there was not that basketball scene where he dunked from the 3-point line and everyone was just like, oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that kid dunked from a 3-point line. Let's never talk about that again.
Like when those movies came out, what, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something?
Yeah.
Like we'll say that. That's literally the only aspect of those films that I remember is that terrible scene. I kind of remember him monologuing to Paul Giamatti at the end of the second one. And so, because I can't enjoy those movies, I just can't, and I won't. I'm sorry. Yeah. Spider-Man 2, we watch Spider-Man 3 like once a month, allegedly. no one can prove it. You know, you and I rewatched Spider-Man 2 not long ago to see like how it holds up, and for the most part, it holds up really well. Like
It does.
like CGI can get a little dated at some times, but I really loved the. You see, and Hayden, this is where I loved the whole like conflict of, him wanting to give up on being Spider-Man and live a normal life versus needing to be a hero, that sort of thing. I thought they did that really well. And
that's like a classic Spider-Man dilemma that
Yes.
they go for. He has to do this, but he wants to do this. And to do what he has to do, he will always sacrifice what he wants to do what he needs. And that's like the running theme throughout all of the Spider-Man books.
Yep.
Is that one idea behind his character.
Exactly. And so like we talked about it and did a video on it ages ago in the old version of SSD.
The old era.
The old era of how we really felt like many of the aspects of Spider-Man 3, the black suit and all of him trying to get like full control of his life and like, giving in a temptation would have fit better in Spidey 2 as opposed to a standalone movie Spidey 3. Absolutely.
One thing that Mitch points out that I think everyone can universally agree with is that Alfred Molina's Doc Ock was incredible.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, he was out of all of the Spider-Man films, he's probably the best version and the most complete version of a character that I can imagine, villain or hero.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, maybe J. Jonah Jameson, those two.
Now that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you because we get to see, and he did so well, every aspect of the villain's like origin, and not just because one of the good things about Doc Ock is that he was, never just like a criminal,
right?
Who was like a criminal who got superpowers, so now he's evil. He was a scientist who had a whole lot of other things going on, and because of, various reasons, turned into this mastermind criminal. And that this movie did a great job of explaining that. So it was one of the movies that had a well fleshed out villain.
Yeah.
Which, has kind of been a complaint for a lot of MCU movies.
Yeah.
Right? That the villains are never quite as memorable. This one had it. So that's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's no Topher Grace.
No.
But
no one can be.
No one can be. But he'll do. He'll really do.
No one can be. No one should be.
I hope they'll do Molina in No Way Home. I'm really interested to see how all that's going to work. I have theories on it. Joseph has not seen WandaVision yet because I can't imagine any good reason. But
I have a life.
That's not a good reason.
I have other
things.
Reason.
It's just a reason.
Other things to do. Yeah.
But
I've been busy. I just had a lot of stuff going on. I
do have a theory, and I've got a video planned for Spring of Spider-Man that is geared towards how they are going to put in all of these different Spider-Man characters into No Way Home and how they're going to tie that in.
Yeah.
I have a theory, and I'm 99% sure it's right.
Yeah, and here, Omnibuddy, like to that point that you're given there, that's kind of the point of like why we love hero stories, right? Because I think so much of the time, whether it's through movies, through comics, through whatever it is, we love a story about a hero because most of the time we always see the bad in the world, right? And so we love it when that, and so I think that's kind of why it gets reflected in this sort of stuff of like someone gets powers and then goes bad, and Spidey's the only one who actually went good. It's kind of one of those reasons that draws us into these stories to begin with.
This is the best joke I've seen all day. So I'm going to give you, Stoner B, I'm going to give you 10 SSD points.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge.
Take them straight to bank.
Yeah, you could take those 10 points and you could trade them in for a myriad of prizes. We'll get to those later on. We'll let you know exactly what those prizes are later on.
You hold on to those. Well, Spider-Man 2. So Spider-Man 2 is regarded as...
You mean this one?
That's the one, the half-face Spider-Man.
I'm gonna see how many times we could put this poster on the screen.
Wait.
Actually.
You get on half, I'll get on half.
Travolta, Cage, Spider-Man 2.
Face off! That's the dumbest joke we've ever made. I love it. So the question is, though...
What joke?
The question is, is that your favorite Spider-Man film? Of all the films, is Spider-Man 2 your favorite, or do you have one that you like more? Because I have one that I actually like more than Spider-Man 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're asking this question very deliberately as a setup to talk about Spider-Verse. And I get that because it is the best.
It's the best. It's the absolute best. There's no way that there could be a better version of Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man 2 is not even my favorite live-action Spider-Man.
Okay, all right.
Though I do think it's a strong contender for the best. Nailed it. I do think it's the strongest contender for the best live-action film, or certainly the most accurate to the Silver Age version of Spider-Man.
Okay.
There were aspects of both Homecoming and Far From Home that I liked more.
Okay.
But as a whole,
right.
I could see why Spider-Man 2 is beloved by so many people. And I did love it as well.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 1 for me, though, really takes the cake as my favorite of the live action films. Just because as a kid, I wanted nothing more than a Spider-Man live action film. In fact, there was an April Fool's, to tie it all in together, there was an April Fool's joke that came out in Wizard magazine in like 1999. And it was that James Cameron, after he finished directing Titanic, had decided he was going to direct Spider-Man. It was going to be a live action Spider-Man movie. And dude, I flipped out. I mean, I like 100% bought in on it. Told everybody that it was happening and how excited I was about it, and that how dumb people were going to feel after seeing Titanic, and then being like, wow, that was definitely not James Cameron's best film. It's definitely Spider-Man. And I was crushed. I mean, just like obliterated. I think it was in the 5th grade, maybe something like that, 6th grade, when I found out that there was none. It was a joke. So anyway, so all that to say, when the first live action Spider-Man film came out and we saw him web slinging through the city, dude, that was a moment like in Avengers for me. It was Avengers level of, I can't believe I'm alive to see this. I can't believe this looks so realistic. I mean, at the time it felt like it. And that film really helped launch every superhero film that we had since then.
Yes.
And really kicked off the golden era of superhero films in live action.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally get that. Totally understand that. So one of the reasons why I come back to this movie, for various reasons, one of them being because of like the way you worded it got me thinking down a certain path as well, of like your favorite Spider-Man in media.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the overall plot of Spidey 2. Like I just said, kind of the inner conflict. I thought that it was a fun one for that. And because this was like the traditional like Peter Parker as Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
You know, Spider-Verse I like more as a film in general. It's not really about Peter Parker, of course. It's more about Miles and all of the Spider-Verse, all the other Spider-Men from all over the place.
Yeah.
It's more about that, and I get that. And so I was like, I'm gonna maybe sway more towards Spidey 2 because of it, and because of it just felt like a more complete movie maybe than Spider-Man 1. Now that being said, Spider-Man 1, love it. Those first two, I love them. I love I love the Sam Raimi campiness. I know it doesn't appeal to everybody, but I like it.
Okay, don't you think people forget though for a second that Sam Raimi directed horror films?
Right.
Because in Spider-Man 2, like you guys got to go back and watch this. The scene in which Doc Ock gets his arms for the first time.
Oh, it's horrifying. It's
straight up horror, like Sam Raimi's like, finally, the one thing that I really excel at, I'm gonna do it, because he made an awesome like montage there of the surgery room, the arms going crazy, ripping people apart. Like it also feels kind of out of place in the film. It's really funny. Uncool, Stan. Uncool, man. It's so uncool. I'm glad Tyler Chu's not here. He'd be letting me.
Yeah, it's like it's so interesting that some of those movies like Spider-Man, but then like the Lord of the Rings films were directed by guys who really got going making horror films.
Spoiler on #1 live action, the emissary of hell, Spider-Man, which is Spider-Man. No, Spider-Man, Emissary of Hell, definitely the best iteration of Spider-Man there has ever been.
I love it. I love it.
Takosu Yamashiro.
Yeah. So I go back to it for a couple of Spider-Man 2 as kind of what I think is maybe my favorite Spider-Man in media when it comes to movies, because I just felt like it did so many things well. Like you said, I liked there are aspects of the MCU Spidey films I liked more. I loved Michael Keaton, by the way.
Oh, I think Homecoming is the better of the two films, largely because of Michael Keaton. I want to point out, Hayden, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's good to know. It makes me feel a little better. I think between Homecoming and Far From Home, to me, the difference is Homecoming. I mean, really, when you look at the MCU overall, just a high up 30,000-foot view, the films that really stand out, because every film in the MCU is relatively good, they've got a formula for making a film down.
Every film in the MCU is relatively the same. That's what I, as the cynic, would say.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that criticism. I enjoy them all, but the ones that really stand out are the ones with compelling villains.
Yes.
Like, because they all kind of rise to that level of good. I like every film. The ones that really stick with me, though, either have something really interesting and different about the heroes, like Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok, or they have really compelling villains, like Loki in Avengers, or in this case, Michael Keaton, who I think in my top 5 MCU film moments, like of the whole MCU, you got to have like Cap picking up Thor's hammer and all the Avengers coming in at the same time.
Whoa, spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. And then you got the elevator scene in Cap 2 Winter Soldier. You've got maybe the bridge scene in Thor Ragnarok. There's a bunch of...
You've got every scene with Luis in the Ant-Man films.
Every single scene with Luis recapping. But really, up there with these scenes, for me, is Michael Keaton and Peter Parker in the car on the way to prom. And when Michael Keaton... The acting between the two of them, when he realizes that Peter is Spider-Man, is out of this world, dude. It was so tense. And so I was just, my gosh, it was so good.
Now, Tyler, here's a question, though. Do you think in that movie, in that scene in particular, they were heading to prom? Or do you think they were heading to homecoming?
The film is called Prom, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man Prom. So in Spider-Man Prom. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's all I'm calling it from here.
Spider-Man Prom.
It's phenomenal. You're right.
I know a lot.
It's real good. It's real good. Yeah, it is.
So good. Keaton has a pretty good amount of comic vibes or moves under his belt. Mr. Mom. Yeah, Mr. Mom was definitely his best role.
Yep.
If I was Michael Keaton, I would make a video and it would be called The Batman Meets the Vulture. And the entire video would be him playing both roles, talking to himself in both characters about which winged animal is better and why.
Yeah.
Is it bats or vultures?
And then the end of the movie, it turns out it was just him as an actor trying to put on a play, imagining all of them. And you've combined it with Birdman as well.
It's literally perfect.
Yep. So good. So good. All right. While we're on this little... or as we get out of the Spider-Man 2 talk, I want to talk about one of my favorite Spider-Men in all of media.
Okay.
And it is directly tied to Spider-Man 2, the movie, because it is PlayStation 2 Spider-Man 2, the video game.
Ooh.
All right. And I don't actually think this might be from the PC version, which was universally panned as a terrible video game.
Awful.
But the console version of the game around the PS2 era, it might have come out on Xbox, I forget. But it was, being a bigger video game guy than I am, a comic book guy, this was the first open world experience in any superhero game. Because like Superman on the Nintendo 64 doesn't count for anything.
Yeah.
Anything. It was the first one of those. It had the entire cast of the movie in there as the characters. It had Bruce Campbell narrating, you know, and it still was in that PlayStation 2 era action game genre that had like collectibles and unlockables and that sort of stuff that kind of went by the wayside for a little bit and then came back in video games, which I think is great. Because like there was the whole fact that you could beat the game and then go back and replay the entire game as Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin and have Harry as the Green Goblin like experience the entire plot of the game but through his eyes. It was really cool. It was like an entirely second playthrough and all that. So it was one of the best superhero games that was made. It was just a really good video game in general.
I mean, do you remember the first time you web slang across the city? Was that not just mind-blowing to you at the time? Like, it felt so good just to get on there and just swing around the city. Like, no real intentional purpose other than just swinging.
And this was the first game that let us do something like that. This is the first game that let us feel like Spider-Man.
It was awesome. As a non-American, what is the difference between prom and homecoming?
Time of year.
Time of year, yeah. Mostly. They're basically both two school dances.
That's
Though one of them has a Spider-Man movie named after it and the other doesn't.
And the other one is Homecoming, so
I just want to point out that this opinion is 100% factual. I 100% agree and have been on the record for at least 8 years now saying the same thing, that The Dark Knight was carried by Heath Ledger's Joker, and that's what makes it a good film. Nobody seems to agree with me, though, except for Mitch.
Yeah, I'm more interested in this comment because this comment's much more truthful than what you were saying. No, what you're saying was right, but I just know that you say it from a deep-seated hatred of those movies to begin with.
I don't hate the movies. I like Batman Begins.
No, you hate the movies.
That was a great game. I mean, that was an incredible game.
What I loved also, Stoner, about the PlayStation 2 memory card was that it had to be formatted differently than because the PlayStation 2 memory card just used standard megabytes and all that, but the PlayStation 1 memory card used blocks of data. So if you played a PS1 game on a PS2, you had to use the block of data formatted memory card. So dumb. So annoying.
Hayden agrees. That's all that matters.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And like everyone agrees with you on that Heath Ledger was outstanding in that movie.
The best. So
absolutely right.
A game that I loved that does not ever seem to get brought up, which is my favorite Spider-Man game, even over Spider-Man 2, is a game called Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions.
There it is.
This was the original Spider-Verse. Like, this was it. Yeah. This came out before Spider-Verse, the comic event, before the movie, which, again, nobody would argue that it's not the greatest Spider-Man related movie of all time. It absolutely is. Spider-Verse is a perfect 10 out of 10 film.
Yes.
And is by far my favorite. And we could talk. We may do a separate video just like discussing why we love Spider-Verse, because we could talk about that film forever.
That movie is so good and so like good visually and stylistically that like I teach a media class and I actually showed that movie in class. Partly just so we could watch it, but also because it's just so good.
But this game came out, and the premise of this game was obviously you're a version of Spider-Man from all these different dimensions that had existed in the comics. And then there's like a plot that flows through, and there's crossover between the dimensions. So it's not really the story of Spider-Verse, but it was the first time where you had all these different Spider-Man characters. That's awesome. And what was really amazing about this game is every Spider-Man character, first of all, was voiced by a famous Spider-Man voice actor who had done a show, which was really cool. The main 616.
So which one did Andrew Garfield do then?
No, I said major Spider-Man actor. Oh. Major. The 616 version of Spider-Man, just the regular version, was voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, who did a 13-episode TV show called Spider-Man that aired on MTV and was set in the Sony Spider-Man world, the movie world, and took place between Spider-Man 1 and 2.
That's wild. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it would have.
The
It would've
best
been
part
top of
about
my
that
list.
show was that he wore maroon jeans, and I thought those were so cool that I kept asking my mom for maroon jeans, and she's like, "No, they don't even make. It's not even a thing." I didn't tell her it was from the show. I just told her I thought they would look cool.
Wait, hold on. So this movie came out, or that show came out between the two movies?
Yeah, and takes place between the two movies.
Yeah. Like, we were in high school at that point in time. Why did you keep asking your mom for those pants? You could have just gone and gotten them yourself.
I ain't rich, dog. I ain't got money. I ain't got jobs.
Yeah. Did Abercrombie not have them whenever you went over to the mall?
Abercrombie, and you know who else didn't have them? Fitch, because Fitch is a little. Spider-Man was.
I want to point this out real quick because this sucks. I think we all had similar situations where that little stupid block of data got corrupted some way. But what also sucks is that this is an issue that, like, we didn't really, like, solve in gaming until very recently. Like,
Yeah.
cloud saves and, like, automatic backups and stuff like that, so that, like, if something happens to your actual physical data, it's saved on, like, a cloud. That's so new that this concept of losing corrupted data and all that, I mean, it still happens, but it's something that we really didn't have any solution for until recently, and that's crazy to me.
I had told one of my friends in college and roommates, he was playing through Twilight Princess. There's a little tangent. It's a Zelda game.
I like it.
And
wait, is it a tangent or is it a Zelda game?
It's a tangential Zelda game.
Okay.
And so I was like, dude, let's go get some lunch. He's like, let me just play a little more and save. I'm like, it's fine, just save where you're at. Let's go. So we went to get lunch. There's one room. It's like a white room in Twilight Princess at the very end of the game. If you save there, you cannot leave the room. It was a glitch. And it's just over. And he had put like so many hours in the game, and I convinced him to go grab lunch. He was not happy with me. But I mean, I had no clue what happened. It was awful.
What are the odds of that?
Right?
What are the odds?
Apparently high enough that it happened. So
hey, all right. In the comments here, what's the most random glitch you've encountered in a video game? Just let us know.
Yes, let us know. So the Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, it had Peter Daniel Barnes, who voiced my favorite spoiler alert Spider-Man show, which we're going to talk about soon. But he voiced the why am I blanking on the Spider-Man? It's the Spider-Man Noir. Wow, I really blanked on it. Spider-Man Noir aspects. And so every character played a little differently. Spider-Man Noir had like a lot of stealth, which was really fun. And then the Ultimate Spider-Man black costume was really cool too. Amazing game. Super worth playing if you haven't played it, though now the graphics are a little outdated. Great storyline. A lot of fun.
I don't know how. Hey, Billy Nyes.
Billy Nyes. What's up, man?
Billy Nyes, the science guys.
Billy's the best.
Yeah. So, I don't know how I missed this game. I don't know how I never got around to
How did you
playing
miss it?
I just said I don't know. What else do you want me to tell you?
I mean, explain yourself. How many likes are we at on this video?
Oh, that's a good question.
I gotta do some more push-ups. For every like, I'm gonna do push-ups.
The producer says we're up to 14. So I'm going to need everyone to get in there and crank that up.
So I got to go do 4 more likes. I mean, 4 more push-ups. I'm going to do no more likes. What is in this energy drink? It's so confusing.
Well, nothing healthy is in that energy drink.
That's a lie, dude. There is no lie. I bet you. Let's see. No, it's not in this one. I drank not a Kickstarter, but a Monster energy drink. And I looked on the back to see what was in there. And it was like 457% of your daily allotment of vitamin B12. I was like, dude, never gonna die.
Yeah, that's what B12 is. The invincibility vitamin. Yeah, B12 is the invincibility. Most random glitch they've seen so far.
He's so upset over the fact that I'm ranked higher in Siege. He's very unhappy.
What I don't get is why you're still playing Siege with Tyler. Like, come on, man. You surely have better people that you could team up with. Why are you not?
This is the best ratio of all time.
As
perfection.
That's it. The perfect
All right,
issue.
the stoner bee. My horse always goes like a 90-degree angle.
What horses? They cannot get horses right in video games.
Horse physics. It just doesn't work.
It's bothered me for years now.
Wait. Billy Nice, tell us why they can't get horse physics. Let us know. I feel as though you're the expert. Let us know. Why can't they get them right? His best glitch has been in sport games.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a glitch from a sports game, but one of my favorite things ever was in Madden, like or NCAA, the old awesome NCAA games. Mm-hmm. Like from 2006, 2008, they would have announcers that would announce things that were not at all accurate to the play because it's just like totally random. So I would be running with nobody close to me, like 20 yards away, and the announcer would be like, "Trick play might not work." I'm like, "Trick play? I'm about to score a touchdown. What are you saying, John Madden?"
Or when it was like, "Welcome to tonight's contest between the home team,
and the away
team." Oh, those were always so good. Sports games, anything that is like physics based, and I'm so glad that we're at a point in video game design these days in which like physics based games are. Tyler, you okay, man? You good?
What is in this drink? I'm fine. I'm fine.
Like, physics-based games are like an entire genre now, especially because like as video game physics progressed, they also progressively got worse.
Right.
I love it.
It's amazing. So much. In every way. Okay, so another Spider-Man game that I absolutely like. Billy got it. So another game that I loved. You know what? Hold that thought. I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go get some media from this game to show you how much I love this game.
Wow. So one of my favorite games is back here. It's the old Sega Genesis Bulls versus Blazers game. Speaking of sports games, anytime that you got down to the end of the clock in this game, and it stuck with me for like 30 years now, some dude would just yell, "Shoot it!" in that voice. And I don't know why it stuck with me. What other random things from like video games of the early 90s have stuck with you? That's what I want to know in these comments.
I want to hear guesses. Does anybody know what game I'm about to reference? It's not my favorites. It's my second or third. It's in my top three for sure. Okay.
Yeah, this will be good to see if people have guesses. I want to
see if anyone can guess what game soundtrack I have. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I feel bad about my choice now. About my choice.
Yep. This is actually a rare time that he did. I can tell you that much.
What is it?
All right, so Hayden's going to go ahead and go with PS4 Spidey, which I think is a solid. So wait, you grabbed a soundtrack?
Yeah.
Okay, what game has a good soundtrack? I feel like I like PS4 Spidey. I don't know if it had a good sound. But then again, I feel like you're just a video game soundtrack like dude. Like you just love
it's not the PS4 Spidey soundtrack, but I do have that soundtrack on colored vinyl. It is awesome. And that is on my list. Okay, here we go. Dance Dance Revolution. Mm-hmm. Ryan says at least we know Tyler wears pants when filming these videos, but you don't know what my dude. I have a GoldenEye soundtrack. It's awesome. I have a GoldenEye. I have Yeast 8, Crazy Jane. I do have this on vinyl. Apparently, I have a lot of vinyl soundtracks. I have this on vinyl.
Yeah, you're a big vinyl soundtrack guy.
I have turned into. I counted them the other day. I've got almost 250 vinyl soundtracks. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of video game soundtracks.
Yeah. You and your lighting, man.
I know. Maximum Carnage. This is the Britney Spears video game soundtrack.
This is it.
Hit me, baby, one more time. It's Carnage saying he wants Spider-Man to hit him. This is just a freaking rad video game. I mean, look at the artwork, dude. I had no choice to get this.
Yeah, I distinctly remember this game. And oddly enough, when I was trying to... Oh, yeah. There's
Blood
that color.
splatter. That's cool.
So when I was trying to look up images for, the stuff we were talking about, such as this one.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that was it. When I was trying to look up images, what's interesting is it was surprisingly difficult to find a high-resolution image of anything other than the Sega Genesis Maximum Carnage.
No,
So
Sega Genesis? This is offensive to me.
I know, yeah, I know. All that they had was the superior gaming system, the Genesis. It's weird that there was no Super Nintendo like high-res versions. Like I kept looking.
I could get my game. It came in a red cartridge, which was really cool to me.
It was so awesome.
The first time I discovered that when you get to, I think it was the 10th level.
That's all I could find.
Wow.
Look at it.
That's just, that quality is
I mean, check it out. It says right there, special Vampire Edition red card marble.
Do you think that parents were confused? Can you put that image back up? Do you think parents were like, I don't know about this game. I mean, it has a rainbow. So it's probably a kid's game, but the cover looks not very friendly. When I discovered that, I think it was the level 10, you actually get to play as Venom, I was blown away.
See, I rented the game.
Oh, no, I've done it again.
Yeah. See, here's the problem, guys. Here's the problem. It doesn't matter what you tell Tyler about vinyl, he will mistreat it. He just won't do it. He just won't do it right. It doesn't matter what you tell him. It doesn't matter what you go. As long as he's gonna buy it if it's any video game soundtrack.
It's so true.
And if it's a colored pressing. Then after that, he's going to he's gonna sit around all day licking it and just rubbing his fingers.
Do you know what the game Blossom Tales is? Because I have the video game vinyl soundtrack to this game. Have I played Blossom Tales? No. I played a little bit of it. But like, I have so much. Oh yeah, Jess did make a video that is supposedly to help me, but I'm not really sure. There is a Maximum Carnage game, and you should totally play the ROM if you own it, because that's what all the ROM websites would say. They'd be like, you can download any of these Super Nintendo games, but only if you say you own it.
Yep.
Because we're not distributing games illegally. We're making sure that people...
It's a backup copy of the game.
Wait, there was a poster that Gray Matter Art released in November.
He's Googling it now. See, I rented Maximum Carnage because when I was younger, loved the character of Venom. Loved Venom. And wanted to play as Venom. But didn't realize that you had to reach to a certain point of the game to even play as Venom, and was kind of disappointed that I couldn't just do it right off the bat. And I realized that was a dumb thing to be disappointed by. But that's one of my lasting memories of Maximum Carnage, was I was like, oh, I have to work for this? What?
Damn, game. Wow, I am just absolutely gutted that there was a print of this, and it's not. I'm going to have to see if I can try this down. I just looked on eBay, and there are none for sale and no sales. Oh, I'm just torn up about that. Okay, so let's talk about how awesome it is that I have over 250 video game vinyls and I still apparently can't hold them correctly. No, let's talk about the PS4 Spider-Man game.
Okay.
That's surely that is widely regarded as the best Spider-Man game of all time.
I would think so. Like, I'm going to do
it is for me. Like, it is
I'm going to do
the
a search
best
here.
Spider-Man game of all time. Like, by every metric you can imagine, a compelling story, incredibly fun gameplay, open world, great web slinging, fun side quests, great collectibles. By every possible metric, the only game that I would think people may say is better is the new Miles game for the PS5, but I haven't played it. I'm planning on playing it for Spring of Spider-Man. I've been waiting. And I think the complaint that I hear about that game, even though I haven't played it, is that it's just too short, is what a lot of people say.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to playing it yet either. Well, I don't own the PS5, so that would explain that.
I'm shocked.
Okay, so I'm looking at,
I'm shocked that it got only an 87.
Yeah, so Metacritic here, We'll pull it up just because I'm curious. So 87 on the meta score, 8.7 as the user score. Wait, so it has the exact same rating as the meta score and the user score?
That's shocking to me.
I mean, it's mostly all wildly... Oh, except for the Guardian.
Oh, it's the freaking... All right, that's it.
Freaking Guardian.
I don't ever do this, but we're calling for a boycott. We're going to use our full force numbers to boycott the Guardian for this bogus review. They're going to feel our pain.
All 19 likes that we've gotten so far are going towards a boycott. That's right, Tyler. We're at 19.
If we get to 20 likes, I have to stop and do another 10 push-ups.
Yep. This guy, Greg Plaw, gave it a 0. For a superhero
well, Greg
game,
Plaw?
just play Batman instead. Lots more fun and faithful to the comic, unlike this disappointing game.
Okay, you know what, Greg Plaw? I don't know you, and I don't wish this on many people because it's really rude, but I hope that the middle of the night tonight, you wake up and have to go to the bathroom and you stub your toe, and it hurts like the dickens.
Greg Plaw has given 16 negative reviews.
What a dick.
3 mixed and 8 positive. So he's a guy... He's a guy that shows up on websites just to leave bad reviews.
Like literally, like look
Except for Dynasty Warriors 9. He loved Dynasty Warriors 9, baby.
No story virtually. It's just a hack and slash.
Now don't get me wrong. I am a huge Dynasty Warriors
it's true here.
Muso guy. Like I owned just about every single one of them. I would never give any of them.
You heard right.
I'd never give any of them.
The ending of Spider-Man PS4 broke me hard. He cried like Jess. Okay, first of all, Jess isn't going to cry when he sees this video because Jess doesn't watch my videos, so it's fine. He'll never see this. But, dude, the story was incredible. Like, I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't played it, but it is fantastic.
It's so good.
Best video game soundtrack, Dark Souls. Never played the game. Have the soundtracks come the way.
All right, so that being said, here we go, Tyler. Just for research purposes.
I've heard this phrase before. It was just for research purposes, I promise. It was totally just for research purposes. I don't know what's about to come up, but...
Here's the Spider-Man 2 for PS2 game. The meta score is lower, but the user score is exactly the same, oddly enough.
I can only assume that's because Greg Plaw's trying to balance the scores.
I'm going to go look and see if Greg Plaw showed up here. No,
imagine if he was the only negative one.
Oh my gosh, I know, right? But NetJack here said it was probably the worst game of the year and definitely on my top 20 worst games ever.
What year did he play this game? Certainly that year came out.
That's what I want to know. I honestly like the storyline of
right, Hayden. Right. Unbelievable.
Right.
Spider-Man was really, I agree. This is a very underrated Spider-Man game. Did you ever play this game?
No, Spider-Man, I didn't own a PS1, so.
It was really, it obviously wasn't as good as some of the other like best ones, but it was really good. And at a time when they were still figuring everything out in 3D, it was really good. Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So you're saying about the story from Spider-Man 2?
It wasn't anything important. The story from Spider-Man 2 obviously just followed the storyline from the movie.
Yeah.
So it's not going to compare to like an original story like we got in the PS4 game. But I mean, like otherwise, like without this PlayStation 2 game, the PS4 game wouldn't exist because they're kind of the same game in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
You know? It's just an advanced version of it on the PS4. So I'd put this game, I would still put the PS2 Spider-Man 2 game up there as one of the best.
How many games have there been based on a movie franchise that actually have a bunch of movie voice actors? That feels like it would be rare to me.
I was trying to find this before we went live, actually. I was trying to pull up a good list of games that were based off of movie franchise. And what's interesting is how many times, and there's another reason why I think the PS2 game is a great game, how many times people said direct games directly based off of a specific movie are universally panned.
Yeah.
Games directly based off of that movie are universally panned. This is like the exception to the rule. This and GoldenEye were the exceptions to the rule.
Amazing. So the other Spider-Man game that I loved was this right here, was Ultimate Spider-Man. It was, to quote Billy, super fun game. It was extremely well done, flew under the radar, but there was a Deadpool level that was really fun and also frustrating, I remember. But they actually had, I can't remember who I want to say, it was a famous voice actor who did the voice for Deadpool. Maybe it was Nolan North. I don't remember. Somebody did the voice for Deadpool. It was like, whoa, really? But it was a really good game. Totally under the radar. Any other thoughts on the game section before we move into shows? This is a question to the chat. I'm getting ready to do
That's why I was listening to the chat. I was like, yes, chat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, chat. We're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. So how many likes are we at? Are we at 20?
We're at 20 exactly.
All right. I'm going to go do 10 more push-ups. And if by some stroke we get to 21 before I finish, I'll try a one-handed push-up, which I've not done in a decade.
I'm willing to bet you didn't do it a decade ago either.
How dare you, first of all. You like my Swartz? These are my sweatpants shorts.
They're real good.
They're real good. People seem to love the Swartz.
Please,
in my life.
Oh my gosh, it's 20. It's at 21.
Oh, who did that? Somebody dislike this video right now. Uncool.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I don't want to try the one-handed one. Okay.
No! Couldn't do it. You didn't really have it right under your center of
yeah, I don't think I had a good balance there. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Here we go. There's your answer, Tyler. There's your answer.
Unbelievable. That hurt. That hurts. That hurts, man. It hurts.
So Billy said that Will Friedle was the voice.
That's who it was. I knew it was. Oh, I love Will Friedle too. So he's been Eric Matthews, he's been Deadpool, and he's been Batman Beyond. Oh, jeez,
that's pretty cool.
That's awful.
All right, you wanted to talk cartoons, is that right?
Yeah.
Or just TV shows in general?
Which, as we can all agree, the MTV show starring Neil Patrick Harris, 13 episodes between Spider-Man 1 and 2 was the best.
Yeah, no question.
Because
of those maroon jeans.
Yes, because of the jeans. Absolutely. My favorite Spider-Man show is just Spider-Man by, I don't remember what studio made it, but it came on Fox Kids.
Yeah, Fox Kids.
When we were a kid. Yeah. I've had this question before for people who read comics and who have watched a show or a movie with a person who's done the voice. When you read a book, like let's say you read an X-Men book, do you hear Hugh Jackman's Wolverine voice? Do you hear no voice in your head? Do you just kind of read the words? For me, like I read a Wolverine book and I hear the voice actor from the X-Men the animated series because that is the voice that I have associated with Wolverine. And Spider-Man's the same way. I was introduced to Spider-Man through this cartoon show. It started my love for everything. It started my love for Spider-Man. It started my love for comics. It got me into comics. It got me into every other animated show. I think it's my favorite animated show of all time. I like it more than X-Men, more than Batman. I love those shows, don't get me wrong. But it was amazing. And when you look at some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, it's just fascinating how ahead of their time they were. So a lot of the guys who produced the show came from soap operas, one of them at least. I don't know if it was a producer or writer, but basically they wanted to tell a serialized story like over multi-episode arcs, which was extremely unheard of for cartoon shows at that time because they were like one and done episodes. And they wanted to tell long running stories that were serialized, and they did it, and they did it wonderfully. It was just a great transition. So all that to say, Peter Daniel Barnes, the actor who played Spider-Man, is the voice I hear when I read Spider-Man.
Oh, I totally get that. I totally get what you're coming from. For me, like if I read something that has Wolverine in it, I hear The Australian Wolverine
from Pride of the X-Men. Naturally. Good day, bub.
Oh, yeah, you dingo. No, absolutely. There's no... It was so formative for us, you know, as kids. Between Spider-Man the Animated Series and Batman the Animated Series, like, that was childhood. Those were our cartoons. You know, my older siblings would have grown up with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and, you know, the Transformers, stuff like that. But for, like, you and I, and for probably most of the people in the chat and all, this was what we grew up with in those early 90s. I'll always remember the day that I learned that Joe Perry from Aerosmith wrote that theme song, you know?
So good.
Friggin'
so good,
song,
right?
yeah.
Like, and that's just something
Radioactive
that
Spider Glider.
It really sucks that cartoon shows don't get long theme song intros now anymore, which is really annoying because some of those theme songs were ballin' and so good.
The X-Men the Animated Series theme song is still
perfect.
Honestly, between the three of those, X-Men, Spider-Man, and Batman, all those themes were absolute bangers, man.
I mean, they really were. Hayden loves Spectacular. We're going to talk about that in a second for sure because I loved that show as well. He hears himself doing a terrible impression of the character. Stan says that he's surprised that I have any room. Well, here's the deal. I have 7 voices in my head, but only 6 of them are actually verbal. One of them is deaf and mute. So it's interesting to communicate with them. But it is kind of a madhouse in there, but it happened. Rescue Rangers was a good show. Can't deny it. So
like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is a really good point because Hank, he hears the voice actor from the X-Men in cartoons, which I also hear. Very like Shakespearean, well read. Like it is Hank McCoy. But definitely, I would say the versions of characters that have multiple versions of people who've played them, usually for me, it's the people I heard first. Okay. Usually that's who I've associated with the character. Not always, but usually.
Okay.
But especially for characters who've had no other real representation anywhere, it's like it's almost solidified as whatever I hear one time is how I read it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what else do you have to base on it other than the voice that you create for yourself? Now, this is interesting. Billy says he doesn't really think he puts voices to characters when reading. What I'm curious is that like specifically talking about comics, or you talking about like when you read anything? Because I'm curious if there are people out there that will read like a book or something and not really hear a voice when they're talking as well. Because I always have like the dialogue going on whenever I'm reading something, stuff like that. This is just for you, Tyler. 5
Malaysia. Oh, dude, what's up, man? How's it going, Farrell? I hope you're doing well, man. I'm sorry you had to wake up to this nonsense. I hope your day gets better from here. But I'm happy to see you. Thanks for coming by in the chat. Yeah, Hayden, this wrecked me as a kid, dude. It totally wrecked me. Spoiler alert. It wrecked me. It was awful.
I think the only bad thing really about the Spider-Man animated series, Fox back in the day, is that it just didn't get a long enough run.
Could have been longer.
Like sure. Could have definitely been longer. Like I'm trying to remember. It was like 5 seasons.
Yeah. Like that.
And I think that it kind of like they didn't get the chance, or really they didn't get the chance to like really wrap up the final storyline well enough. I think was the main thing.
I agree.
It's just kind of a shame.
The ending, the things about the show that really blew me away. One, they did the MCU, the biggest crossover, well before the MCU did, which was they had Secret Wars. They brought in Captain America, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Some of the X-Men crossover. It was incredible stuff. Like they were so ahead of their time. And then the end, which was like the original Spider-Verse, where you get all these different versions of Spider-Man from all these different worlds team up to beat this one bad guy, including Spider-Carnage, who I thought was incredible at the time because I was reading the comics by the point that season hit. Mm-hmm. And when Spider-Carnage was in the show, I was like, oh, he's in the comics. I actually have a drawing that I did of Spider-Carnage when I was like 10 that I always thought was really cool for myself at 10. But the interesting thing about those shows is a lot of my Spider-Man knowledge for a really long time was based on the shows.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, no, that's not how he got the black suit. The black suit came from J. Jonah Jameson being in outer space in a moon rock.
Yeah.
Like, he came from a Secret Wars? That doesn't sound right. That's not how it happened. Like, I didn't know what happened in the comics because I just knew what was in the animated series. So it just shows how impactful that was.
Now, didn't that become, though, like one of the canon like reasons behind the black suit? Because they even used that storyline, at least it coming from like a moonrock or whatever, in the Venom movie, right?
Yeah, I think they just tried to streamline the idea. I guess having a big crossover
Secret Wars,
too complex or complicated.
Because in Secret Wars, it was just a suit that was designed for him.
Yeah, he discovers like the goop and realizes, oh, this is a suit. I need a new suit. This would be great.
Yeah,
which turns out to be the symbiote.
Okay, all right. I had in my head that it was developed for him by like Reed Richards or somebody.
He definitely helped.
Yeah. All right.
It was the Venom suit from the Venom movie. The only thing that pissed me off about it was there's no white spider symbol in there. Like, come on, man. Everything else is great about it. He gives them a persona, but he doesn't think about the voice itself. That makes sense.
Is that a reference to something?
No, I just like saying the word persona that way.
Okay.
The only novels he reads are Star Wars, so it's an unknown. He just assumes they have an English accent.
I love that.
Billy coming in, dude.
Oh, Billy.
Love
Billy.
Dude, this is so generous of you. Thanks a bunch.
You're the best.
Thanks for
Billy.
dropping by. Billy Nye is out. He's going to let us know.
Someday he's going to turn on us for calling him Billy Nye.
He's going to let us know why there are no good
horses
in games. I'm ready for that.
I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that none of them ever work.
None of them ever work.
Yeah, this is I think most of us that tend to read a lot, read comics a lot, like love.
What is
we have big. it must be a British term. I don't know.
It's got to be British, yeah.
But when we like, if we have vivid imaginations, this is instantly where we go to. I totally get that. I do want to go back real quick to this comment simply because my wife has been on a big Star Wars novel kick recently.
Interesting.
And she listens to audiobooks in particular. So like if she's working on a project, knitting something, whatever, she listens to the audiobooks. And sure enough, every character in there has an English accent. That's just how the audiobook readers do. They give every single one of them an English accent all the time. So this is actually incredibly accurate.
It's so accurate, dude. So what people may not know about you is actually you've done a good bit of voiceover work for book readings. You've done some voice acting for books. Not a joke. He really has done some voice acting work for books. When you approach reading for a book, do you think, how could I make this character British?
Right. That is the main question.
Because if you don't think about that, I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying you should consider that.
No, I think you're absolutely right. That is the main question. Is the moment that you start up a story at all, the first thing you ask is, how many characters are in here? How many voices do I have to prepare? How many of them are British? And the question is always 100% of them are British.
Always 100% of them are British. I don't know why they don't hire a British voice actor. It's fine. You're worth it. Venom, the movie, Tom Hardy looks like on crack. He did a good job in that. I love Tom Hardy. I don't think this is an insult to Tom Hardy. I think it's definitely a compliment to Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Farhan wants to know, do I think Stern's Spider-Man is the best run ever in comics? Why has Kraven's Last Hunt become such an iconic story? Kraven's Last Hunt, I think Roger Stern, I don't know.
Well, hold on a second. If this is my last hunt, I feel like I should probably explain. Thank you.
You should, yeah. I'm not trying to Craven explain you. Why don't you, Joseph Craven? For those who don't know, his last name is Craven.
Yeah, that was the joke. That was the joke.
I think Craven's Last Hunt is an iconic story because it was one of the first times at least I can remember, that Spider-Man was portrayed so grimly and seriously in a storyline. It was really intense, especially at the time it came out for a Spider-Man book. I loved it because the end I thought was just it was just fantastic writing all the way through, and it really made Craven a real threat. I thought it was incredible. Stern Spider-Man is definitely my favorite Spider-Man omnibus that exists. I think by far. I don't know if I would say it's the best run ever in comics as a whole, but I don't really know what I would put as that. I've thought about this question a lot. Like, what do I think is the actual best story for comics? And I just don't have a good answer because I think there's different stories for different styles of writing and different people that resonate in different ways. So there's a lot of really good stories I would recommend to people, but like, I don't know what I would say is the best story of all time. You've given me a lot to think about, though. To think about that one.
That was a great question. I wish I had something to say on it, but I'm not the comics guy here.
Well, I know your favorite story in comics is Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. That's it.
You do love
Hawkeye.
You do love the Hawkeye.
Yeah, I don't like to talk much about My Last Hunt because it was such an emotionally draining storyline. For me personally.
It was. But the way that it ended with the Spider-Man underwear and the one-arm push-up was very impressive.
Very impressive.
It was something that you didn't see it. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that there's an option. I think this has to happen.
Yeah, I do wish he would explain the connection at least between Billy Nye's The Science Guys as his name and then a horse. I just don't understand it.
That would be great. So that Stoner B has some recommendations for your wife?
I literally have already written them down. I saw the comment and wrote them down to tell her. Now she's listened to in just this year alone so far. Listened to I think 15 or 16 books, Star Wars books. So
wow,
yeah,
that is a lot of books. For those who showed up late and don't know, I'm doing one push-up per like. It's been terrible. No more likes, please. You did a personal read for Stanley of 50 Shades of Grey.
And believe me, it was not cheap.
But did you do it in a British accent?
Oh yeah, every character.
Good. Let's hear your best British accent.
You want to hear? Here, this is a direct.
Let's hear Christian Grey.
Christian Grey. This is a direct line from it. All right.
Come on, let's hear it.
Gene, it's me. It's Christian Grey. Gene, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need to like tie you up or something, Gene. It's me. It's Christian Grey. It's 50 Shades of Grey. Gene.
Literally the best voice. That's the best impression of Christian Grey I've ever heard. Joseph does some killer voice. You guys can ask him in the comments who you want him to do next, and he can do any voice impression of any character.
I'm sorry. Look at this dog staring at himself.
He's like, "What is this? Who is this dog? What is happening?" He's looking at himself like, "Why is there another dog in this room? I don't understand." Joseph and I went and saw Venom together in theaters, and we heard nothing but terrible things about it.
Right.
And when we went in, we were just expecting terrible things, and we were shocked at how much we loved the movie. Like, it was campy in all the best ways.
Yeah.
Serious in the ways it needed to be. I mean, it wasn't a perfect film, but I had a lot of fun. I can't wait for the sequel, which was supposed to already come out. Thanks a lot, COVID. It'll be out this year.
I'm also bummed that the next it's going to cost you extra, bud. It's going to cost you extra. I'm also bummed that the next James Bond movie got delayed again to October instead of this month, because my wife and I just got done watching all of the Bond movies in preparation for the new one to come out this year, and now we got to wait several months for it.
I need to do that. I've only seen a few of them. I don't know any of these words.
Oh man, yeah, Farhan. Been to Brighton, England before they were a Premier League team when they were still they had just won League Two, been promoted to Championship, went there, been to Ajax in Amsterdam. That was my first European match to go to in person. So I love the sport. It's a shame that you're a Spurs fan, but I love the sport in general.
Anything about those leagues, but I can tell you about Gold 2 League in Rainbow Siege, which is above Gold 3, which is where Ryan sits. Oh, future for Joseph to do a Tyler voice. I don't think the world is ready for that impression.
No one truly is. No one truly is.
So the last thing I want to announce or mention about shows as we're getting ready to wrap up too. Thanks for coming on, everybody. Everybody go like and subscribe to anybody's channel. And make sure to not like this video because I want to do no more push-ups.
We do have a second like. You're up to 22 total. So you're going to have to do one more.
All right, I'll try one more one-arm push-up before I go. So I wanted to mention the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon show, which was the last great Spider-Man cartoon show. It came out, and it was incredible. Everybody loved it, critically praised. Everybody thought it was great. And then Marvel got purchased by Disney.
Right.
And the rights to the TV show were lost by Sony, who was making the TV show at the time. And because of that, the show ended. And that really sucked because the show was great. It was extremely comic inspired, and it was a great young Peter Parker. Whereas the Spider-Man series that I grew up with and you grew up with that we loved was an older Peter Parker in college or grad school. This was a Peter Parker who was in high school again. It was really awesome. It was a really well done show. Great voice acting. It was everybody loved it. And there was also an X-Men show at the time called Wolverine and the X-Men. No relation to the book. And it was also fantastic. And they set up this awesome teaser for the Age of Apocalypse at the end of like season 2 or something. And then the purchase happened and all the shows got canceled. And it sucked.
It's interesting how often rights issues in the past 25, 30 years have affected so many different things.
So annoying.
That we like in media. So very interesting stuff. Very interesting.
Well, those are our favorite versions of Spider-Man across all these media. We talked about movies, games, shows. I don't know what other medium there are that Spider-Man has appeared in. The best Spider-Man show, again, is Spider-Man. Video coming next week about why I love Spider-Man.
And that, not to mention, is also going to have your top 5 Spider-Man outfits.
Yeah, that's coming for Ring of Spider-Man. You guys hold your breath on that one.
I just want to point out right here that just so you have evidence and proof, we're up to 24 likes, Tyler.
Oh my gosh, people, stop liking this video. I don't want to do more push-ups. Please.
I love it. I love it. You have to do a few more, but
Farhan, I appreciate the words, brother. Thanks for hanging out with us so early in your morning. I hope your day gets better. I mean, I'm just assuming it's not a good start because you had to wake up to us.
Exactly. All right, Tyler, you're up. You got to do 3 more push-ups.
Okay. 3 more push-ups.
Oh, no. We got up to 25. We got to 25 likes. You got to do 4 more.
Uncool. Johnny Uncool.
I'm capping it at 25, though. Thank you for everyone who has liked the video.
And make sure to subscribe, I guess, if you want.
Yeah.
I don't really care at this point because I'm just so... 25 push-ups is more push-ups I've done in, like, a while. Well, not really that long, but, whatever. Okay. I just really don't want to. How many more do I have to do? 4 more? Okay.
One, 2, 3, and 4.
All right, I'm going to try another one-armed. I believe.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, this is it.
Just get it right under your center of gravity. Yeah, scoot it in. All right, he's going down. Nope.
I'm okay.
I keep thinking that you're almost there, and you never actually are. That's beautiful.
I'm okay.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in
Oh.
to this
Oh, God.
episode. This little Friday afternoon special treat. It's been a pleasure to bring it to you. This has been Super Squad D, where the D stands for don't try a one-handed push-up anymore.